keep hearing women say a version of the same thing lately, and I want to read it to you almost word for word because maybe you guys have said it too. The phrase is, I think my body is addicted to cortisol, or something along the lines of, my stress levels are constantly high, and I wish my body wasn't addicted to stress like dopamine. Another way that I've also heard this being said is, I don't know how to not be stressed. It's like I need it. In some way, shape, or form, these sentences are tacked together where you have high cortisol and your body being addicted to high cortisol. So if you've ever felt like that, or you've ever heard somebody say that, or you personally have said that, like you're hooked on your own stress, like it's an addiction, and that calm actually feels kind of foreign or even uncomfortable, almost like you can't function. When you have silence, it's like you always have to be doing whatever the next thing is. There's this low hum of urgency that kind of runs underneath everything. Then I want you to hear two things today. The first one is that I understand exactly what you are describing, and it is real. That's a feeling that is not just stuck in your head, it's real. The second one is that you are also not addicted to cortisol, and that's actually not a thing. And understanding why it's not and what's truly happening instead is going to literally change everything about how you approach your healing. Because this whole, like, I'm addicted to stress, I'm addicted to cortisol, my body this, my body that, is a story that keeps telling you that you're at war with your body. And the true story, the one we're going to tell today, is the one that is actually going to set you free from all of that. So this episode, this is where we stop just dismantling the whole trend that we've talked about the previous 4 episodes, and we're going to actually start building this truth. Okay, so welcome to the real medicine of this whole hormone culture is lying to you cortisol trend that we have been discussing. Now, welcome back to Healing Her Feminine. I am Lindsey Alexis, a functional hormone and nervous system coach. Again, this is going to be episode 5 of Hormone Culture is Lying to You. 4 episodes in, guys, we have finally made it to the turning point. We have talked about the cortisol trend just apart from everything else. We have talked about the cortisol belly, the cortisol face, what that looks like, why that's a myth. We have talked about cortisol supplements and this whole bandwagon marketing of, I need to take these supplements to help level out my cortisol or to reduce my cortisol or fill in the blank. And then this last episode we talked about these food timing rules, specifically around like when to drink coffee, or if you should or shouldn't eat carbs, and if you should, when, and all of these caveats that people have put, these general assumptions around food, and making food kind of like the villain of the story, when in actuality it isn't. And so the whole time in every single episode, it has kept pointing at this same deeper thing, the thing underneath all the symptoms and all the noise, which is your nervous system, which brings us back to today. So today we are going to turn toward your nervous system completely, and we're going to start with that phrase that I keep hearing where I'm addicted to cortisol, my body's addicted to cortisol, etc., because it is the perfect doorway into understanding what is actually happening in your body and what actually is going to heal it. And this is literally the heart of this whole entire series. We do have a few more episodes coming out in the next couple weeks that are going to wind up or wrap up the series. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before I start with why this whole addicted to cortisol thing isn't real, if you are watching this on YouTube or maybe on Spotify, you will notice that my background is actually like a background. It's an image. So while I personally hate doing this because the outline of myself is like, you guys can see it like comes in and out, and I hate that. It's annoying. I did want to show you what's coming up, which is why I have this image behind me. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or any other music streaming platforms, if you get a chance, pop over to YouTube to check out the image that is actually behind me right now. You can do that. You can do that at Lindsey Alexis Co. All one word. Lindsey Alexis Co. All one word. And that's on YouTube. But you can see the image behind me. So let me address the image. The image is of my 90-day program called Embody Her. It used to be called the Balanced Hormonal Healing Journey. And I feel like Embody Her kind of actually embodies the program a lot better. So I am running a new cohort starting in early September, and I wanted to drop this in here for you guys so that you can get prepared for that coming up. It is a group, small group program for women who are, like it says, no, other side, spiritually aware, high functioning, ready to feel calm, energized, and at home in your body without another rigid protocol. Because you know, here on Healing Her Feminine, I am not about rigid protocols and these things. So basically the program is going to be, like I said, 90 days. And each week we will have 2 group phone calls. We will have one on a Monday and the other one on a Thursday. That first one is going to be about the integration aspect, like education and integration, like what we're doing for the week. And then we'll do a check-in on Thursday where we will actually do hot seats. And that is where you guys get your actual personalization from me. It is your actual coaching. And I switched it up from one-on-one coaching to this group setting because the groups that I have been in as of late, I'm actually getting a whole heck of a lot more out of, because other women have similar problems or adjacent problems to what I am seeing. And through my coach coaching them, I'm actually getting a lot more deeper insight than I think if it was one-on-one. So this is coming out in September. There is a workshop before that. If you, and I'll tell you this later in the episode too, but if you guys go check out the new body connection score, I mentioned it in the last podcast episode, you're going to get all the details for all of these things coming up as well. And again, all of that's going to be in the show notes, and I'm going to mention it again later in the episode. I just wanted to address why there's a picture behind me this time instead of my normal background. So back to the episode for those who aren't on YouTube. Why we are addicted to this cortisol. Why are we saying this? So let's address the entire phrase just head on, okay? With honesty and compassion, because that's what we do here, right? We're going to break it down and we're just going to be real about it. Physiologically speaking, your body cannot be addicted to cortisol the way that it can be addicted to any other substance, especially when we talk about dopamine and this whole reward type system. Okay. Addiction in the typical sense involves this reward pathway. It's a craving and a reinforcement kind of loop, usually around dopamine, which is why people say, oh, it gives similar things like dopamine. So what you're doing in this case is you're chasing a hit. You get relief from it, or you get pleasure from it, and your brain wires itself to seek more of whatever that is. And that could be positive and that could be negative, right? So Cortisol does not work that way. It's not a reward chemical, okay? It is a stress hormone. It comes from your adrenal glands. They release it in response to a signal that you need to move, right? Fight or flight. You need to do something. So there's no cortisol craving circuit like there is with dopamine. So the literal claim I'm addicted to cortisol, or I'm addicted to cortisol like dopamine, or cortisol is like dopamine. Like I personally have even heard my coaches say these things. Okay, it's not physiologically accurate. Like it can't happen like that. So as soon as you hear somebody say that, let it go in one ear and out the other, because it's not true. But it's also important to know that the feeling behind the phrase, right, is pointing at something that is real. Okay, let me tell you what's actually happening, because it's going to be more accurate and hopefully more hopeful than thinking that you're addicted to something that is incapable of being addicted to. When your nervous system kind of lives at this heightened active state for a very long time, right? We talk about fight or flight, vigilance, resiliency. You're always on the go, right? Go, go, go. That kind of state becomes your baseline. Your body will recalibrate itself and treat that activation, that activated state, as the new normal. So it's like living next to train tracks, right? Eventually, over time, the train noise stops registering as loud, and they just become a part of your normal daily life. You get used to it. Your stress state becomes a familiar set point. Same thing. So here's the key part. When something is familiar, your nervous system is going to read it as safe, even if it's not actually good for you. Okay, we talk about toxic relationships. We just did a whole episode a few episodes back before the series about how heartbreak lives in your body, right? You guys can go check that episode out. But same thing, I asked a couple questions to our guest, Sarah, during that time. And this is exactly what she said. Even if it's not good for you, there is an addiction piece to it, okay? Because it has become familiar to your nervous system, not because there's actually that dopamine like there would be in the relationship. So familiar, like I said, is predictable, right? It creates that safety. And that kind of triggers that deep survival part of your brain, right? We've talked about in the last episode about controlling, right? Safety and controlling are very similar. We control things to feel safe. It activates that deep survival part in our brain. So a stressed, activated state can feel safer than calm, simply because it's just what your body knows. And when you try to rest or to slow down or to be calm, it can actually be really foreign. It can feel wrong. It can even feel threatening because your system isn't calibrated for it. Think about it okay, I'll give you a personal example because this literally just happened to me the other day. My kids have gone to camp for the week. Great. My body took this exhale because now I don't have to constantly be thinking about what their needs are. During that time, I also had caught up on everything that is coming, right? I just mentioned the workshop and the cohort. Social media is a thing. I've caught up on all of these things. We're just transitioning into homeschool when the kids get back. So Monday, literally in a few days, we're going to be starting homeschooling. So all the planning and preparation for that has all been done. That's a lot of stuff that is on my shoulders right now. And I had pre-planned it well enough in space when I had the energy to do it, to where this week, with them not here, I don't have to do any of that. I mean, I'm doing the podcast right now, but that was all that I had to do. It was this podcast episode. I literally kept going to my planner to these outlets that I normally use and was like, what is the next thing that I need to do? What do I need to do? Mind you, and I didn't tell you guys this, but I have a fractured rib, a fractured upper rib. It's right here. Um, so last week I did the episode with it, and I don't know if you guys caught me not being able to speak very long-windedly like I normally do. It's because of the fractured rib part. It was just hard to breathe. So literally I'm supposed to be resting, and that's not my normal. My normal is not resting. Like I'm a mom, like I'm a business owner, like I do these things constantly. That is my normal state. So sitting here this week and not having literally anything to do, like the house is clean, there's really not much. Like I vacuumed, right? And that literally took 5 to 10 minutes out of a full 24-hour day. And I was like, what do I do? And I felt this restlessness come about because I normally have like something to do, right? And I really wasn't in the mood to journal or to read, to fill in that gap. I was like, what do I really want to do? And for the life of me, I just couldn't fill in the space. But what happened was interesting. After I kept telling myself, no, you don't need to journal. No, you don't need to read. No, you don't need to watch TV. Like, no, you don't need to fill in the space, the empty space. I felt this like switch, like this adjustment happen in my body. And I can't explain it to you. You have to kind of experience it. But I felt like a downshift. It was literally like shifting gears down, and my body felt like it could breathe better. And honestly, maybe it has helped hasten the healing of this fractured rib, because I noticed I am not taking pain medication every day. And I am getting some better sleep at night. I still can't fully sleep on my left side, but things are better. And I feel like they're better because I allowed myself the actual rest to let my nervous system rest. So, just so you guys know, like, even though I'm coaching and teaching these things, everybody, even my coach who's further along than I am in all of these things, we all are human, and we all continue to come up against ceilings and walls and things and have to push through them through our own capacity being our nervous system. So I say all that to say, like, I know what you're feeling if your baseline normal is go, 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 or mentally is always on. And the fact when you try to rest and calm down, your body literally starts to like freak out. You feel anxiety come on, or maybe you even feel guilty, right? Mom guilt is a thing. You could also feel like you're like kind of have this tingling or vibration kind of sense out of your skin, like you're feeling like it's just this lack of safety, right? Everyone's nervous system responds differently. So the point being is that unconsciously you might create urgency or drama or busyness in order just to get back to that familiar activated state, because like I said, it is what is familiar. And that, I think, is what women are describing when they try to say that they are addicted to stress. It's not an actual chemical addiction like dopamine would be. It's literally a nervous system that has learned that stress is home, right? That's the new norm, and it's calm. Well, and calm is unfamiliar territory, right? So it's a set point, but it's not this craving, okay? And honestly, as I say those two stories, do you guys feel the difference in them? Like, I'm addicted to cortisol. It makes your body sound like it's broken or it's malfunctioning, like it's doing something that you have to overcome. It's a problem to solve, a problem to fight against, versus saying my nervous system learned that stress is home. That makes your body sound like what it actually is. Your body's adaptive, it is protective, it is capable of learning something new. So one story is like this fight, this battle, this war, and then the other one is more of a homecoming. And honestly, only one of them is true. So, how does our nervous system come to treat stress as home? Well, let's understand it, because understanding it dissolves any shame around it. Your nervous system is shaped by your experiences, especially the ones you had early on in childhood. If you grew up in this environment of noise and chaos, unpredictability, instability, emotional volatility, pressure, any sort of insecurity or lack of worthiness, being told you were too much or not enough, your nervous system just basically learned, very highly intelligently, by the way, that staying alert is going to be what is going to keep you safe. Okay. Vigilance was adaptive. Being relaxed and unguarded might have actually been dangerous, or at least it was unrewarded. So your system set its baseline to the on switch. And that's not a flaw. That's not a character flaw. That's literally your nervous system just doing its actual job. And it's keeping you safe by adapting to your environment. And then over time, as you went into your teenager years, as you went into your adult years, life just kind of kept reinforcing that. And you might have seen actual good results from doing those things, right? You could have seen financial success, career success, relationship success, right? Because you had this structure that you have in place, right? And you're safe. However, things like the adult stress, we talk about adulting. I don't want to adult today. Financial pressure, caregiving as a mom, as a single mom, as a dad, as a single dad, overworking, the 9 to 5 or 10-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, things like relationships. We all bring our own brokenness and baggage to relationships. This relentless pace of modern life and having to fill your schedule and be with your friends and be with your family and be with work and be with yourself and be with your kids and all of these responsibilities, those things, they all just keep activating your system, right? They just keep the system activated. And the vigilance or resiliency that a lot of us wear as these badges of honor, like, oh, you're so resilient, that started as childhood protection, and it becomes this lifelong pattern, not because anything is necessarily wrong with you, but just simply because your system never got that sustained signal that it was finally safe to just stop or stand down. So for some of you, there's a specific layer here. Some of you are mothers of children whose own nervous systems are dysregulated or have health conditions that keep you personally in a state of alert. You guys know my son has type 1 diabetes. Like, I'm constantly aware of what he's doing or what he's eating or what his blood sugar is or how stressed out he is or how he's functioning in school or out of school or how his friendships are. Like, so many of the things in his life environmentally affect his diabetes and whether his glucose is high or low, even though it's rarely low. But yeah, just that alone. So a lot of women out there, you guys are moms, and you know your children are sick in some way, shape, or form, or they have ADHD, or they have autism, or they have bullies at school, or they're getting societally introduced to things that you didn't want them introduced to, and you're constantly monitoring. You constantly have this on state of alert, like I mentioned. So some of you have been in that alone, in this survival mode for so long. Then we bring in financials, right? Then we bring in emotional stuff with the relationships or lack of relationship, right? That calm genuinely has not been available to you. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, just relax, just journal, just whatever, right? Because you're not making a wrong choice in any of this. This is your day-to-day life, right? Stress isn't always necessarily a choice. Many of you, the stress has been this rational response to genuinely hard circumstances. And your nervous system isn't malfunctioning. It's literally responding to this real load that you guys are carrying, myself included, which is another reason why I do this kind of work, to kind of help lead you guys through the forest of all of these things. So if you feel hooked on stress, then here is the most compassionate truth I can give you. Your nervous system adapted to keep you safe, and it's still running the program. It's not that the program itself is broken. It's just probably outdated, running in conditions where you'd actually be safe to soften. But your body doesn't know that yet. It doesn't know that it's okay. And the work isn't to fight that as a problem. It's simply to update the software, to slowly, gently teach your body that it is safe to rest. So let's get into the connection here. Let's connect this part to everything we've been talking about in this series, because this is kind of where the nervous system meets the hormonal aspect, along with your weight or your fatigue, mental clarity, all of it, okay? When your nervous system is chronically activated, your body prioritizes survival. And we've mentioned this before too. Survival mode has consequences for everything else, because your body very logically deprioritizes anything that isn't immediately essential to getting through the threat. Reproduction and hormonal balance are typically one of the first things that gets deprioritized. Your body figures things like this. It says if we're in danger, then obviously it's not the right time to smoothly have a menstrual cycle or balanced sex hormones. So your cycle gets disrupted. Your PMS symptoms, they worsen to the point where actually over time fertility can be affected, because your body is literally saying, like, it's not safe enough for me to carry, develop, create, engulf even an entire new life species within me. Right? Think of all of the processes your body has to go through in order to maintain a healthy baby inside your body. It's a lot. Personal experience alone, there is a lot of things that happened, and very differently for each one of my pregnancies, that if I wasn't in the condition that I was in at the time for both of them, those pregnancies would have been awful. They would have been way worse than they were. And trust me, it wasn't a perfect situation in either capacity. So if this sounds like you, turn toward your nervous system if any of those symptoms resonate with you. The next thing that gets deprioritized is going to be your digestion. So in fight or flight mode, right, blood flow moves away from your digestive system. So you're not breaking down the food like you're supposed to. You're not absorbing nutrients like you're supposed to. And your whole microbiome and your gut issues develop, or they get worse. Because your body figures you're running from a bear or a tiger, and there's no reason for you to digest food or eat leisurely or like enjoy, food as it is. Like it's literally running from a threat, an unperceived threat to you, but a perceived threat to your nervous system. Again, it is a logically thinking aspect of your body. The next thing that often suffers is blood sugar, because stress hormones will raise blood sugar in order to fuel the emergency, which will then contribute to insulin resistance and the stubborn weight we talked about in the belly episode. Your sleep is another thing that gets deprioritized, because a system that's highly on alert all the time, it won't easily drop into deep sleep. And we have discussed how central sleep is to all of this, right? If you'll notice, all of these systems, functions, rely on hormone communication, the regulation of your hormones. So when one of them starts pulling away and getting off, like sleep, right? You start sleeping in a way that isn't of quality or consistency or effectiveness. Those hormones, we talked about melatonin and cortisol, right? Your circadian rhythm. That starts to get out of whack. And because that's out of whack, it's going to start triggering the blood sugar one, right? Or the digestive one. Like, you have so many hormones that are your actual communicators. When one system starts to fall off, it's like a train, right? If the caboose falls off the tracks, I guarantee you the next one's going to fall off, and then the next car, etc., right? So eventually what happens after all of these systems have slowly fallen offline is your immune system gets dysregulated. So now we start seeing inflammation increasing. You're getting sick more often. You develop this low grade chronic inflammation that underlies like so many of our health issues today. Constant chronic inflammation. Your energy starts crashing because your body is running on high alert all the time, which is metabolically exhausting. It's like driving with the engine at full speed constantly. Eventually, all the parts and systems and liquids and all of the things that make that engine operate, it's going to burn out. So almost every symptom that we have discussed across this series, the way your weight won't move, the way you have fatigue, the way your cycles are disrupted, sorry. Gut issues, poor sleep, anxiety, all of these things trace back to your nervous system being stuck in survival. Cortisol is not the villain, and neither is your nervous system, right? Cortisol is just the messenger of a nervous system that doesn't feel safe. So, address the safety, and the whole cascade begins to shift. That is the root. The entire trend has been distracting you from your nervous system. Okay. So now you're probably asking, all right, this is all great. I get it. Yes, this sounds like me. And you might be asking, what do I do? Right? How can I teach my nervous system that has been on alert for many, many years, maybe even decades, right? That it is safe to come home and feel calm again, okay? All right. I want to set an expectation first because it matters. Sorry, guys. I need to see if I can switch this because it's bothering me. All right. It's not going to let me. Okay. It looks like we are stuck. All right. We're stuck with this background. It's just annoying me how it's like reflecting on the screen. Like it's moving. Anyways, for those of you listening, like this isn't going to be a problem. All right, expectation, right? Here's the expectation. This isn't going to be a quick fix. Your nervous system is definitely not a quick. Think of it this way. It took many years of repetitive patterns and habits over, like I said, many years, decades even, since you were a child, right? If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, like that's how many decades we're talking. It's going to take time to downregulate your nervous system. There's no quick fix for it. There's no pill for it. There's nothing. Okay. And again, those options, even if they did exist, is you being in control again, right? It's you wanting the quick fix. It's you wanting, you want it now, which is completely against your nervous system. It's you forcing instead of relaxing. It's you controlling instead of feeling safe. So even if there was, you're still doing the thing, right? It's like, I don't have a good example. I was going to use an alcoholic example, but I don't really, well, one, I don't feel like that's appropriate, but two, I don't really have like a full scenario for that. But it's, you get what I'm saying, right? Like you're trying to quit the thing, but you're still doing the thing adjacent. So it's not really helping you quit the thing. Okay. So you can't force your way into a regulated nervous system. And like this just doesn't work. Trying to make yourself relax is a pressure, and it's just going to keep you activated. All right. It's like the chicken and egg, right? So the work to regulate your nervous system has to be a lot gentler. It has to be a lot slower. And honestly, because of those two things, it's going to be a lot more powerful than any protocol. Like I said, even if there was one. So it's about gradually, repetitively showing your body that it is safe until that calm actually becomes the new familiar. So we're talking a practice here. Like think of it like a yoga practice. Think of it like a meditation practice. Like It is a practice. You have to practice it. And not even so much as so like in these grandiose type, oh, I did 2 hours of meditation today. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about these small, repetitive experiences of safety throughout the entire day. And they are small, so they are hard to catch. But once you start catching a couple of them, you will start to notice more of them, and you will therefore catch more of them. And every time you catch one is another step closer to your body feeling safe. Your nervous system only learns through repetition. There's no big dramatic intervention that's going to happen, right? So it's these tiny, frequent moments, genuine calm, few slow breaths, stillness, feeling your feet on the ground, feeling gravity around you, like gradually shifting this baseline. And that accumulation, that is what is going to rewire you, and it's not going to happen in any single practice. Okay. A good example for this that I did many, many months ago, and I think I've actually mentioned it on the podcast, cleaning. A lot of women who are high functioning, productive, independent, even, we clean as an outlet. So when we are really stressed out or irritated or mad about something, instead of us going and like punching a wall, which I hope nobody does, but instead of like a physical outlet like that, even hitting the gym could be a physical outlet, but it's like that's also a good physical outlet. I'm talking about bad physical outlets. Anyways, we clean, right? Maybe you have kids and you can't go to the gym to literally work it out, right? So you have kids. So we clean. And it is noticing in those moments when you're cleaning, whether it's doing the dishes or wiping the counter or dusting or whatever, your pressure that is applied to that cleaning. Okay, what do I mean? Imagine wiping down the surface of your kitchen counter. Are you aggressively wiping it, scrubbing at it almost, where your shoulders are forward, they're tight, they're closer to your ears? Maybe your jaw is a little clenched in the back, right? Your teeth are together in the back. You're leaning more on your hand to clean the surface, and you are just getting at it, right? Like, because you're mad and you're frustrated, right? But if you're even doing those without being mad and frustrated, those are the moments where you stop, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, release the jaw, feel your feet on the ground. And that shift in posture alone, you go back to cleaning. That's you signaling that you are safe to your body just in that moment. There was no big extravagant, 5-minute meditation, count backwards from 100. There was none of that. It was just relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, take a breath, and begin again. That's it. So down regulating practices like that, they work with your physiology. Slow exhales, like I said, longer than your inhales, ideally. So inhale 4, exhale 6 is typically a good rule of thumb. This is going to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. You have a sympathetic one and you have a parasympathetic one. Parasympathetic is your rest and digest system. You can also do this by humming or or singing, all of that is going to stimulate the vagus nerve. You humming, each of us have our own tone of voice that we hum. Like when we hum, it's like a particular noise. Like nobody else has the same frequency or vibration of humming that we do. Therefore, our vagus nerve, which is the major nerve that runs through the entire column of your spine, that literally regulates your nervous system. And we've talked about vagus nerve regulation on here before, how to do it, techniques to do it. But that humming, that vibration vibrates through to the top of your vagus nerve. That stimulation triggers the activation of your parasympathetic nervous system. If somebody else hums, it can help, but it's not going to be as high a quality help or effective help as you humming yourself. So a lot of people will say, inhale and then exhale and hum at the same time, or hum as you exhale. And it helps. So you can do that. But for some of us, that's going to feel kind of awkward. So build up to it. You can also try gentle movement or swaying, just things to kind of like get out of your body. A lot of the coaches that I have worked with for nervous system health or healing, they do a lot of body movement work. Okay. It can be giving yourself a hug. It could be tapping. Tapping, basically you're tapping on different points of your body that trigger different sensations to help downregulate your nervous system. Getting up and dancing, listening to some music, like it, you know how you feel when you're like good in a good mood and you're dancing and you're vibing. Like these things are your nervous system being signaled that it is okay, that it is safe, that we are not being chased by a bear or a tiger. So practicing those things in the moment. Other things that you can do would be spending some time out in nature, right? Going for a walk in nature, just even getting outside, maybe in your backyard, or if you live in an apartment, maybe they have some green space or something, and putting your actual feet, like no shoes, no socks, on the ground and just stand there for, 10, 15 minutes and just really take in nature, take in that vibration, because you're literally grounding your energetics. Another thing you can do is anything with warmth. Think, warm fuzzy blankets. Think, warm teas or coffees, things like that, that activate that calm, right? We feel more calm when we are warm. You could even take a shower, right? Showers are great. So these things, they're not woo type things. They're scientifically proven, physiologically proven levers that tell your body that it is safe. We had some technical difficulties happen. So let's get back on track. Co-regulation. This one's big and under discussed. Your nervous system regulates partly through connection with other safe, calm nervous systems. Being with a calm person, a safe friend, a loving pet, a supportive community, all literally help your nervous system settle. We are wired to regulate together. It just is. We were not meant to be alone, especially extended periods of time. Isolation keeps you activated. Safe connection is going to soothe you. So for those of you who do isolate, and it's okay to isolate every so often. Personally, myself as a projector, it's actually required that I isolate because I am also an empathic person. And so I tend to take on energies that are not mine. But as a projector alone, we have waves of energy that come and go. So I can tolerate, be around, and excited for people when I am on that energetic wave. But when I am at the bottom of that wave, where I just need some time out, right? So if you are someone who is isolated, then this is worth taking seriously because your nervous system may be struggling partly from a lack of co-regulation. Feeling your feelings instead of overriding them is a huge, huge source of chronic activation. This unprocessed emotion, the stuff that you like push down in order to keep functioning, letting yourself actually feel and move through those emotions in a safe way or in a safe environment, it's actually going to release activation that is stored in your nervous system, and the body keeps the score of all of these things. Okay. So we're not just talking just your nervous system. Like, this stuff shows up in your health. It shows up in your muscle tension. It shows up in your ability to think clearly. You have to allow yourself to feel all the feels and let it go and surrender. And right here, I do kind of want to pivot because having community really helps with this, right? Having your inner circle of 2 to 3 friends that you can actually let yourself be you authentically, fully with is genuinely important. And also having faith is also very important here too, because there's a lot of things that are battles or struggles between you and source, whoever that is for you, whatever that is for you. There are a lot of energetic battles and spirituality battles that your friends are not meant to help see you through it because they just don't resonate. And that's not necessarily a problem. It's just a matter of fact, right? So there are things you can bring to your friends and they can actually help you. There are things you can bring to your family. They can actually help you. But there are other things that simply have to be worked through or spiritually given up, surrendered to God, universe, source, whatever you believe in, because you don't need to be carrying it. It is out of your control. So having these outlets in place when it comes to healing through trauma, healing through your emotions, it's going to help your nervous system ultimately heal and feel safe in the long run. You keep those things stored and boxed up inside and not working through them, and it's going to show up in health problems at some point or another. I can 100% guarantee it. So, enough sleep, enough food, reducing actual stressors where possible. These are the common things that you hear, right? Sometimes regulation requires changing real circumstances. So letting your yeses be yes and letting your nos be no. They have to be boundary setting. Okay. Feel clean. Reducing your genuine load. What are you taking on that isn't yours to take on? What can you delegate? One of my coaches calls it the 4 Ds. Do, delegate, defer, and delete. Okay. Put stuff, right? Just brain dump an entire list of all of the things that you are carrying and then come back to that list after you've spent some time away from it, because you're going to need space after you write a brain dump. But take 15-20 minutes off at least. Ideally, come back the next day and sort through that list. What is actually yours to carry? What do you actually need to do? What is yours that you can delegate to somebody else? Maybe that's getting your kids to help out around the house more. Maybe that's a friend, right? Maybe that's ordering groceries instead of going and shopping for them yourself. Whatever that is, what can you delegate? What can you defer? What's not important right now that's coming down the line but doesn't need your attention right now that you feel like you're carrying? Write that down. And what genuinely can you delete? Genuinely. What are things that you are carrying that are completely out of your control? You have zero control over them. What are things that are no longer pertaining to the season or the circumstances that you're in? Delete those. Okay. So you're doing all these things so that you're not just managing, right? You're not just surviving through this response to this unsustainable life that you're carrying, okay? Sometimes the most regulating thing is to actually have less on your plate. So do that exercise. Crucially, patience and self-compassion. Every time you meet your own activation with kindness instead of judgment, that's a safety signal. That harsh inner critic that you have of yourself, or you're not doing enough, or you're not doing it right, or you should be doing this and you're not doing this, whatever it is, even judgment. Okay, here's another good one. Even judgment around the way that you look, the way that your body looks or feels, or you wish it was different, or you wish you had more energy, like even things like that. Or, maybe you grabbed a Snickers bar at the store, right? And then later you're like, man, I should not have done that. Like things like that, the small things, those are also inner critics, right? And those are also stressful triggers. Be compassionate to yourself. Allow yourself grace and patience in all of these things. Your weight isn't moving not because you decided to go grab a Snickers bar on a Tuesday night because you had a very stressful afternoon. That is not the problem. The problem is you had a stressful day or afternoon on a Tuesday, and your body is asking for safety in those moments, and you're probably not giving it to it. So gentleness is the medicine. So take note of what is not on this list. There's no supplement. There's no timing rule. There's no cortisol blocker. The real medicine for a dysregulated nervous system is largely free, deeply human, and completely, entirely unsellable, which is exactly why the trend will never point you here. And I want to go switch over to the soul aspect of things, because we've done the scientific stuff. There's something sacred underneath all of this physiology. When your nervous system finally begins to feel safe, when calm slowly becomes home, something very profound happens that's bigger than symptom relief. You come back to yourself. the you that exists underneath this vigilance, this resiliency badge, underneath this bracing or needing to do more or needing to be less or fill in the blank, right? Underneath this low, constant hum of threat, that version of you has been there the whole time. It's just been waiting underneath all of this activation. So much of who we think we are is actually our nervous system's adaptations. The overfunctioning, the hypervigilance, the inability to rest, the need to control, the bracing for the next bad thing to happen, the shoe to drop. We can easily mistake these for personality. They're just how I am. But often they're not who you are. They're who you've become in order to survive. And underneath them is something softer. It's something truer, more spacious, more sovereign. It is your actual true self. Healing your nervous system isn't just about better hormones or losing weight or sleeping well, right? Yeah, those things, they come, they happen, we focus on them. But all of this ultimately is about coming home to yourself. It's about your body finally believing and feeling that the danger has passed so that you can stop bracing and start living. It's about reclaiming this energy that you've been pouring into this vigilance, right? Because that's an energy exchange. It's about taking all that back, right? Reclaiming it and getting to spend it on joy, on freedom, on presence with a CE, not a TS, although you could. But creativity and love and happiness, like so many good things in this world. And here we are pouring energy into things that are ultimately out of our control, things that don't give us joy. Many of us have learned that, how can I put this? We were, as women or girls growing up, we were always told, we grew up in this era of you can do anything, right? This empowerment movement of, oh, women are strong, women are independent, when women can do anything a guy can do, women are this and that, right? We grew up in this era that taught us that we could be engineers, we could be astronauts, we could be, the things that the guys were mostly, right? And what we ended up doing was we said, bet I'll go be all of those things, right? So learning that calm is safe is genuinely a new concept for us. So you might grieve a little, realizing how long you've actually been activated. How much of your life, how many years have you spent bracing? And that grief is okay. It's part of it, right? You have to release it, feel through the feels. You're not behind for having survived the only way that you knew how, the only way that you were taught or that you saw, right? You're not broken for having a nervous system that just simply adapted to life being hard. You're a woman whose body loved her enough to keep her safe, and who now gets to teach that same body that it's finally safe to rest. And that's not going to come in a protocol. That's a homecoming. And it is available to you, starting with the very next breath that you let be just a little bit slower, more intentional than the last one. So let's make this practical and doable, because while all of this is beautiful to say, I want it to actually be useful in your life. Start almost absurdly small. Don't try to overhaul your nervous system in one night. Okay, we talked about that. Pick one tiny thing, one thing. It can be 3 slow exhales before you get out of bed. It can be the one hand on the heart, right, for 30 seconds, especially during the moments that you feel activated. It could be, like I mentioned earlier, where you shift your shoulders down, really unclench your jaw in the back a little bit. Take the breath in the moment. Those small and repeated beats, they are actually big impacts, right? And that will always be better and more habit forming than doing this grandiose thing once or twice a month. So practice the long exhale, do it several times a day, breathe out longer than you breathe in. And that alone is going to directly tell your body that it is safe, that it's free, and you can do it anywhere. Notice your stress is home moments. When you feel restless within the calm. Okay. When you start to create urgency, when rest feels uncomfortable, just like I said earlier, how I had those moments where I literally had to consciously tell myself, no, we are not filling it in with a journal prompt. We are not filling it in with a book to read. We are literally just going to sit here and rest. I honestly, in that moment, I think I turned on some meditation music on YouTube, and I like almost instantly fell asleep because my body needed rest, because I've been avoiding it because it's not me. I mean, I rest when I need to rest, but like I don't rest often, if that makes sense. Like multiple increments. I rest like once or twice, like throughout the week. Again, feeling the highs and feeling the lows of my projector waves. But like for me to intentionally like be silent and rest and just lay down and just see what happens kind of thing, like it's rare for me to do. So I feel you and I see you. Notice it when those things feel uncomfortable. Notice it without judgment and just say, oh, I see you. I see that you feel unsafe right now in this calm. Because awareness is always going to be the part that allows you to rewire it. You can also seek safe connection. We talked about this. So spending more time with people who are safe people, whose nervous systems are regulated. Pets also calm your nervous system, scientifically proven too with that one. Let yourself be soothed by others, okay? Receive it, allow it. Stop trying to overgive all the time and allow yourself to receive the connection. Reduce the isolation when and where you can. Be absolutely gentle with yourself. Okay, here's another one. That inner critic, right? Soften it. Self-compassion is not indulgent. It's literally the nervous system's medication. And then, like I said too, where you can actually reduce that load, do that 4D prompt that I told you about, and honestly, really honestly look at whether some of that stress is genuinely unsustainable for you. And if a cleaner yes or a cleaner no is something that you have to put in place, because that might actually be the most regulating thing available to you right now. Now, here's where I want to point you guys towards the next step. Because nervous system work, while it is very simple, is often hard to navigate it alone. So even personally myself, I did not walk this journey alone. I've had at least 3 different coaches, plus 3 to 5 books that I can actually quickly think of that have helped with regulation. Actually, could be 4 coaches. Anyways, I've had help, right? 90% of the time, it's not that we don't know how to do something. It is the consistency and the accountability that we need. Okay? Because every time I'm around the one coach that I have right now, my life continues to shift. And there have been times when she hasn't been in my life for a few months and I could feel it shift back, because nervous system work is a constant, like, okay, practice, right? Like, it's a constant thing that we have to navigate. So oftentimes it is harder to navigate alone, especially when you've been activated for so long. Like, you don't even know what calm really feels like or where your dysregulation is actually coming from. So given that aspect, again, where I have been and where I am now and where I am going, oh my gosh, that is exactly why I recently created the body reconnection score, because I feel like that was more valuable to you than my 7-day morning rituals. While that is a great place to start if your mornings are dysregulated, if your whole day is just chaotic, this body reconnection score more tends to pinpoint your nervous system, which ultimately is like I said, the very foundation that a lot of us need, more so than how we are actually starting our mornings. So it is a quiz, it is free, and it literally will take you less than 3 minutes to do. Like, I promise you, it's maybe 10 to 12 questions, and it's not that hard. It's multiple choice. It's going to show you where your body is actually at right now, right? Are you connected? Are you disconnected? Are you semi-connected, right? What does that look like? What does that feel like? It goes through not just your nervous system, but your hormones and your energy and your cycle and things like that too. So it's not this generic quiz, right? It's built around your specific pattern, so you know exactly where to start instead of just randomly guessing. So based off of what your result is, you will get follow-up emails that break down what those next steps are and kind of help guide you along the way. So I encourage you to go take it. And like I said, I'll send you the results, the next step, once you get your answer. And then, like I mentioned earlier, my 90-day cohort, Embody Her, is going to open in early September. And we are going to go like all in together. Nervous system regulation, hormonal support, cycle syncing, like the whole methodology, week to week, twice a week. And if you take this body reconnection score, then you're going to be the first one to hear about all these details more in depth than what I'm mentioning here, obviously, on the podcast. So go take the quiz. The link is in the show notes. It's on my website as well, lindsayalexis.co. If this episode has named something for you, like it's called you out in some way, shape, or form, or you felt a shift in some way, shape, or form, you want to change or downgrade into regulation, then I would absolutely be honored to help you begin teaching your body that it is safe to come home to itself. And that literally is the heart of everything that I do here on Healing Her Feminine, and as well as the coaching programs, right? So lindsayalexis.co has all of that information as well. So all of that said, here's the practice that I want you guys to try for this week. And I hope you guys have been doing these practices every week, because I really feel like they're really helpful for you. And if you have been doing them, please leave some comments about, how it's been going. Like, have you been doing it? What are the results you've been seeing? You can also DM me on Instagram at the Healing Lifestyle. The link to that should be in the show notes. I'm pretty sure it is. So you can pop over to Instagram too for that if you want to DM me your results. So the practice for this week, again, several times a day when you think of it, I just want you to take 3 slow breaths. Relax, okay? Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Breathe in for 4, exhale for 6 or 8, whatever feels comfortable, and just do 3 of them. That's it. As you do, silently offer your body one phrase. It's safe to rest now. That's it. Just remind your body. You don't have to believe it yet in your head, all right? But your nervous system doesn't learn through whatever your beliefs are anyways. It learns through repetition. So just keep offering the breath and the phrase. A little safety signal again and again. You're not forcing calm. You're gently, patiently teaching your body a new way home. And it's 3 breaths at a time. So let me bring us home, which feels like the right phrase for this episode. You're not addicted to cortisol. Stop saying that. Stop believing people who say that. Your nervous system learned that stress was home. That's your baseline. And at some point, staying alert is what has kept you safe. And that's not a flaw. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to go to war with your body, nothing. It's literally an adaptation to honor and gently update. It's a software update. Treat your body like a computer. It's a 2026 update. Your body, which has been so loyal in keeping you vigilant and resilient, is fully capable of learning something new, and that it is safe now to rest. So that is the root underneath the entire trend we've been going over for the past 5 weeks now. It's not a supplement. It's not a rule. It's not some number to optimize. It is literally nervous system safety. A woman coming home to herself. So thank you all for being here on this one. It is, again, it's literally the heart of everything, is the baseline. Thank you for being willing to trade in this whole battlefield that we've been dealing with and trading it in with your body coming home to itself. Now, next week, we're going to go even deeper into the work with, or how to work with, your body instead of against it. So again, we're going to be talking about cycles, cyclical living, and the idea that your body has a rhythm that you just were never taught to honor. And that's going to look amazing on a lot of you, because a lot of us don't know about our personal rhythms. So until then, please be gentle with yourself. Again, take those 3 breaths in the moment. It is safe to rest now. This is Healing Her Feminine. I'm Lindsay Alexis. Y'all take good care of yourself.